part 5 of I took the TV off the wall and canceled all the streaming services and got rid of the bootlegged passwords that I had. So, you know, the shared passwords. Somebody was using my Netflix password. I was borrowing somebody's Disney Plus password. So TV's off the wall. Got rid of the bootleg passwords. Canceled all my streaming services. And previous episodes, I talked about the fears, the 4 fears. I think that was 2 episodes. The last episode, I talked about the DTs, or the emotional and physical, literal reactions that you have from quitting a bad habit. And this episode, I'm going to dive deep on my fear number 1, which was Waylon, and the effect on our relationship of not having the TV on the wall to bond around. So that's what's coming on this episode.
You know when someone is selling from stage and at the end the audience gets up and rushes to the back of the room to buy? That's a table rush. My name is Misha Z, and the Table Rush Talk Show is all about bringing you the tools, strategies, and tactics that you can use to grow your audience and inspire them to buy.
Maybe a better thing to say would be that my fears were unfounded, and what are the wins from that? It's actually been very positive, the taking the TV off the wall and my relationship with Waylon. Okay, so here's the Waylon story, the fears and the win, really, because it's been a massive win. So as a reminder, I took down the TV August 18th, 2023, and I canceled all my subscription services, and, well, except for Prime, but Prime sucks at it anyways, so I never watch Prime content. But I did cancel, and I got rid of all the bootlegged passwords that I had. So the boy's mom had given me the password for HBO, for Disney Plus, and so I was like, yeah, let's get rid of those too. So I can't watch the stuff on my iPad or on my iPhone. And so yeah, the biggest fear was that Waylon and I won't be able to bond at dinner anymore over the TV, because one of our favorite things to do was have dinner and watch a movie. Have dinner, watch a movie, or watch Family Guy, or what else? All these shows we watched. The Philadelphia one. What's the Philadelphia one? With Danny DeVito. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I hit the pause button, by the way, and looked it up real quick. Yeah, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. So we watched that show, Family Guy, American Dad, and then movies. Movies were the best. We'd find a movie we wanted to watch, and sometimes we'd watch the whole movie. Sometimes we would watch a third of the movie, and then the next third, the next dinner, and then the next third, the next dinner. And it was so much fun. And I guess what's so heavy about the whole thing is that, you know, I'm a divorced dad, and you know, you're trying to realign your life when you're divorced, and there's parenting plans, and how often do you get the kids, and what are my nights, what are your nights, and trying to refigure out how to live life as a single dad. And it's a very heavy time, and I had quit my career because I realized my job now is to hold space for those boys. Be there 100% to support them, get them through grade school, high school, and be there for him. And so, I'd even bought this table, the living room table, that lifts and turns into like a table that you can eat at. And I spent some good amount of money on it, a couple $1,000s on this really nice lifting table. So it's a coffee table, and then it lifts into a little dinner table. And I want to say one other thing. Taking the TV off the wall was a big time marker too. That's the other thing. So there's kind of that wrapped around in it, but I'll get to that. Might be another episode. We'll see. But it was really good single dad. And, Cooper was a little bit older, so he was a bit more self-sufficient. There's plenty of work to be done with him, but I'll save that for another day. This is about Waylon. And, Waylon loved it when I was home to be there to support him. He'd, as a tween, would peek out the bedroom door, see that I was home in the living room, available for him, and he just would be so happy. I could tell that me just being there, being available, was really all I needed to do 80% of the time. And that was through high school too. So I was like, Waylon, I said, hey, Waylon, so let me say this, that the TV, the bonding, was very powerful for Waylon and I. It was very, very powerful. And I was like, all right, it's time for the TV to go. It's time for this chapter of my life to close and new chapter to begin, and taking the TV off the wall as part of that. I guess that's a good way to say it. And as a matter of fact, that was one of the heavy, hard, emotional pieces of it. It was like, as soon as that TV was off the wall, I was like, oh yeah, that's the end of the chapter. It's the end of the being married, getting divorced, having kids, supporting those kids, being like a dad with kids in the house. Like, that chapter is closed. I'm no longer, my boys are barely around as they're supposed to be at 20 and 22. I've been divorced for 12, 13 years, whatever it is. It's time to revisit life before so many people were dependent on me. Maybe that's a good way to put it, right? I was a working dad, so Dawn was a stay-at-home mom, had the boys, all this stuff. TV was a central part of the family unit, for video games. Oh my gosh, we played Guitar Hero, all those things. I don't know if you remember Guitar Hero, but just all this family stuff. SpongeBob SquarePants. Was Barney. All these things. Watching X-Files with Dawn. Watching reality TV. Survivor was big. American Idol. Seinfeld. Just this chapter of my life, and pulling that TV off the wall and relearning how to be my own guy. No TV. Like, all right, what's next, right? So a lot of what's next. Anyway, so big time marker, and I was very aware of it emotionally. Lots of emotions tied around it. And by the way, you're probably asking, what does this have to do with business? Isn't this the Table Rush talk show? By the way, soon to be the Influence Army podcast. I do need to do a rebrand. But I don't know. It's life. It's all this stuff blends together. It's the streaming services affect how I work. They I'm imagining TV off the wall will create new for me, new opportunities, new business, new awareness, new timing, how and when I work, all kinds of things, it all kinds of blends together, and heck with it. My podcast, I'm here to support you guys, but ultimately, I got to talk about what I want to talk about. And I'll say this too, emotions bleed into work. Life emotions bleed into the work area. And the more I can recognize that, and the more I can see, hey, I'm feeling a lot of emotional turmoil over here as I make big changes in the family life, my personal life. There's going to be emotions that are bleeding into the work life. And if I can be aware of that, it will make the upheaval easier, if that makes sense. It's like, oh yeah, I might feel extra frustration at work, or extra insecurity at work, or extra, pain, whatever you want to say, insecurity. And really, that could just be coming from the personal side of things, right? I'm taking the TV down. I've got insecurity on my relationships with my kids moving forward as I do that. So of course, those insecurities are gonna bleed into work. So anyway, there you go. There's my pitch for that. So I ask Waylon, I say, hey Waylon, I want to take the TV off the wall. What do you think about this? Because have been working on communicating more with friends, family, work people, associates, get people involved sometimes versus telling them what I've done. Hey, this is what I'm thinking versus this is what I've done. So I go, hey Waylon, I want to take the TV down. I just did a quick time check. I'm at 12 minutes. We'll see if this part of the episode turns into two-part of the episode, a two-part, whatever. You get what I'm saying. Anyway, so I said, hey, Wales, I think I want to take the TV down. What do you think about that? And he goes, yeah, that makes sense. I guess we'd, figure out what else to do. I'm not around so much anyway, and I guess it's like me deleting TikTok off my phone. I'm sure you've done that. I've done that. I deleted TikTok a long time ago because it was obsessive compulsive. I could not be a content creator. That's kind of the thing about social media. Another little side note here. It's like, can I be a content creator or am I a content consumer? And my goal with social media is to be a content creator, to bring people into my world, to deliver value, ideas, business stuff, insights into my family, or, a door into the family life, whatever. But I end up being a consumer, and it can take over. And so it's like, yeah, I might just not be able to play on social media. It might just not be a space for me, or super limited, or until I can hire somebody to do all the posting for me. Anyway, thanks for listening to that side note. So Waylon says, yeah, go ahead. So I take the TV down one weekend. He comes home, walks in, and sees that the TV's down, and I rearranged the living room too. I moved the couch, I put some paintings on the wall where the TV looks great. But he's like, oh my God, the TV's gone. And he said, we eat dinner and watch TV every night. And he was shocked, and it was so interesting. He felt the marker of time changing or closing, or however you want to say it as well, because we absolutely no longer watched TV and had dinner every night. Now it was like randomly we'd do it if he happens to be home for dinner once every couple weeks. And if he did sit down to watch TV while we had dinner, he would eat and then get up and go quick. He's like, I got stuff to do. I got friends to talk to, streaming to do, whatever. It would have to be a really good show for him to stay with it. And I don't begrudge any of this. So what I'm saying is, he felt that marker of time. He was sensitive like I am. And he was like, he took a big breath and was like, okay, all right, we'll try it. He was shook up. You could see it. He's standing there looking around, 6 feet tall, thinking, I'm guessing he was thinking, how's this going to work? But really processing the fact that it's a new chapter. Waylon's moving on to do his own stuff. Dad's moving on to do his own stuff. Being there to support the boys at that level is no longer required for me. And as a matter of fact, I need to move past that. And there'll be new ways to support those boys. But anyway, you get what I'm saying. So he was shook up. I was shook up. I was like, oh no, how's this going to work? Is my relationship over with Waylon? Literally is what I'm thinking. I'm like, oh my gosh, whatever bonding we had is now done. And he's looking around like, what the hell? How's this going to work? Excuse me, what the heck? How's this going to work? And so a day or two later, he says, I'm going to be home for dinner. And I said, okay. So I make dinner. I set the table. I put the dinner on the table, the dining room table. And I'm like, I yell, hey, Waylon, dinner's ready. And he comes out of his room, sits down at the table. We eat. There's no distractions. Neither of us have our phone. And we're not even saying any of that. We're not saying like, oh, isn't this great? There's no distractions. Or, oh, look, there's no TV. I just was like, I'm going to do this as it's the most natural thing in the world. So we're sitting there eating. We start talking. We're talking about business ideas, about what he's doing for fun and little business on his own. We're talking about what I'm doing. He's talking about how he can help me. And we just, I don't know how long we were chatting and eating and having fun, just bonding and BSing. And it was incredible. It was the best dinner ever. So we get done with dinner. He clears the table. He's like, I'll clear the table. I was like, oh, that's amazing. And we kept chatting. He was standing in the living room. I'm sitting at the table. The conversation goes on. And went right when we were done. I said, hey, check it out. We didn't have any TV. And he goes, oh yeah, and look, all we did was talk. That was amazing. He jumped into his room and we were done. And for that part of the evening, but I was just so blessed in that moment. I felt it, and inspired and grateful, and just like, it's going to be okay. It is going to be okay. That chapter has closed. New chapters are opening up, and it's going to be okay. And fast forward to, as I record this, it's been a couple weeks now, and he comes home, in and out. We've had dinner a few times, and oh my gosh, it's really been amazing. We've just talked a ton, talked about ideas. It's all spontaneous too. We haven't had to try to figure out what to do next. It's just happened, natural as can be. So we're just having so many great conversations about what he's doing, what he's trying, what he's thinking about his future, his relationships. Just, it's really rather amazing, I have to say. And It's beautiful. It is beautiful. We haven't skipped a beat, and I absolutely feel like our relationship is stronger than ever, and it's been taken up a notch by taking the TV down and creating that space. It was just waiting. Waylon and I have been doing, a bunch of talking along the way. He'd really been opening up, and getting rid of the TV just created that space for it to go to the next level. So my fears were unfounded in that regard. And I'll end with this. It was really funny. I was on one of those peak moments, and Waylon's girlfriend comes over, and she sees that the place is rearranged. The TV's gone, and she goes, "Oh, Waylon and I can't watch movies on the couch anymore." Oh my gosh, I was like, oh no. It was such a funny moment. Waylon goes, "Don't worry, we've got iPads. We'll be able to log in. We can watch a movie on the couch." Oh my gosh. He's got the passwords. I don't. Anyway, there you go. Part 5. There will be a part 6. I'm going to talk about the other fears and how they were unfounded. I'm going to talk about a bunch of the benefits already, the new awarenesses. Oh my gosh, so much stuff to talk about, that good that has come from taking the TV down. And then also the habits, the DT part, the withdrawal part, how those triggers are happening too. So it's probably another episode or 2 left in me in regards to taking the TV off the wall. But anyway, have a good day out there. Get my guesting guide, my podcast guesting guide. Take your TV off the wall. Get my podcast guesting guide and go on a podcast guesting tour. All right, I'm done. Have a good day.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Table Rush Talk Show. For resources to help you sell your stuff, go to belove.media/resources. That's belove.media/resources. And be sure to subscribe, comment, 5-star, and share. Thank you again for listening.